Hi, everyone. Welcome to Living Wisdom and Dharma World. Today, we're going to explore Manjushri Bodhisattva, the embodiment of wisdom. Manjushri means wondrous virtue or wondrous auspiciousness. He is renowned in Buddhism as the Bodhisattva of wisdom and is frequently mentioned alongside Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, both of whom, together with Vairocana Buddha, form the Hawaiian Trinity. Manjushri is one of the two primary attendants of the Dharmakaya Buddha Vairocana, who is considered an aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha's ultimate reality. Manjushri's status and influence. In Buddhism, Manjushri represents prajna, transcendent wisdom, and appears prominently in the Mahayana scriptures dedicated to wisdom. In esoteric Buddhism, he is known by various tantric titles, including Prajna Vajra, Wisdom Vajra, Manjugosa, Melodious Voice, and Vajraspara, Lord of Speech. Together with Samantabhadra, he serves as an attendant to Vairocana, emphasizing their central role in the Avatamsaka Sutra. Manjushri is considered the personification of prajna, the ultimate wisdom that leads to enlightenment. He is sometimes called the teacher of 7 Buddhas and the mother of all Buddhas, signifying his role in guiding both sentient beings and future Buddhas. His presence in Buddhist scriptures symbolizes the importance of wisdom and the path to awakening. In many Buddhist sutras, Manjushri acts as the teaching assistant of the Buddha, often giving important summarizing verses to restate the Buddha's just finished teaching. Manjushri and Mount Wutai, the sacred abode of wisdom. The Manjushri treasury of Dharma Mantra Sutra records. After my nirvana, in the northeastern part of Jambudvipa, there will be a country named Great Shenda. Within this country, there will be a mountain called 5 Peaks Mountain. I will lead many bodhisattvas to dwell there. Great Shendan refers to China, and the 5-peaked mountain is Mount Wutai, located in China, known for its majestic landscape, with 5 towering peaks resembling a blooming lotus. The summits are flat, which is why it is called Mount Wutai, literally 5 platforms. It is the foremost sacred site dedicated to Manjushri. Over the centuries, devotees have reported countless visions of Manjushri appearing in various forms, whether as a young boy, an elderly monk, a beggar, an old sage, or even animals, adapting to the needs of beings and expounding the Dharma accordingly. Due to its year-round cool climate, even in summer, it is known as a place free from oppressive heat. Over the centuries, people have revered Mount Wutai as the Dharma ground of Manjushri Bodhisattva. Thus, Mount Wutai became the sacred site of Manjushri, and devotion to him spread throughout East Asia. Mount Wutai thus became a focal point of Manjushri's worship, spreading his veneration across China, Japan, and Korea. Manjushri Bodhisattva is teacher of the 7 Buddhas and mother of all Buddhas. One morning, Shakyamuni Buddha and his disciples arrived at Vulture Peak. The celestial being Jetasoundeva asked why Manjushri Bodhisattva possessed such great Dharma power. The Buddha explained that Manjushri's profound prajna wisdom guides beings to enlightenment, and that even Buddhas regard him as their teacher. Manjushri had nurtured the path of awakening for countless generations, even being the teacher of Dipankara Buddha, who in turn guided Shakyamuni in past lives. Jetasoundeva asked why Manjushri had not attained Buddhahood. The Buddha revealed that he had long ago become the dragon seed supreme Tathagata, but chose to manifest as a bodhisattva out of compassion. When asked where Manjushri was, the Buddha pointed to the distant jewel abode world where he was teaching. In response to a request, Shakyamuni emitted a radiant light, summoning Manjushri, who arrived with a retinue of bodhisattvas. Manjushri described Jewel Abode as a pure, harmonious land of only bodhisattva teachings. The visiting bodhisattvas, disturbed by the suffering of the Sahā world, wished to leave. Manjushri declared that all worlds and beings are equal and demonstrated his power by momentarily transforming the Sahā world into a pure land. When the illusion faded, the bodhisattvas realized the depth of his wisdom. Choosing to remain, Manjushri continued to guide sentient beings alongside Samantabhadra as Shakyamuni's foremost attendants. Manjushri Bodhisattva's divine powers, unfathomable and unrestrained. Manjushri, the embodiment of wisdom, and Sariputra, the most intelligent of Shakyamuni Buddhist disciples, once journeyed together eastward. Sariputra believed his abilities were on par with Manjushri's. They arrived at an 800-mile sea of fire. As Manjushri walked, lotus flowers bloomed and flames transformed into dazzling patterns, while celestial palaces appeared above. Sariputra, wanting to prove his powers, used all his strength to clear a narrow path through the flames, but beyond it lay an endless fiery ocean. Defeated, he admitted only Manjushri could lead them across. With a single thought, Manjushri transformed the inferno into a vast lotus field, effortlessly walking across. At that moment, Sariputra realized his wisdom and powers were like a firefly's light before the sun. The alms bowl that could not be lifted. During a summer retreat at Yedavana Monastery, heavy rains cut off food supplies, leaving monks weak with hunger. The Buddha sent Ananda to seek help from Manjushri. Despite never leaving his chamber, Manjushri instructed Ananda to prepare for the midday meal. Unknown to Ananda, Manjushri had already sent an emanation to beg for alms in Shravasti. Mara, trying to obstruct him, scared the townspeople into refusing offerings. Seeing this, Manjushri subdued Mara, forcing him to announce the merit of offering food. The city's doors flew open, and people eagerly filled Manjushri's bowl, which never overflowed. As Manjushri left, he placed the bowl on the road and told Mara to carry it. Mara, despite his great power, couldn't lift it. Confused, he admitted defeat. Manjushri easily lifted the bowl and made Mara carry it, exhausting him. Celestial beings laughed, and Mara admitted that bodhisattva power, rooted in wisdom and compassion, surpasses demonic power, which stems from ignorance. At Manjushri's command, Mara placed the bowl in the monastery. Ananda, still unaware of how food arrived, was astonished. When he questioned its ability to feed over 1,000 monks, the Buddha assured him the bowl would never be exhausted. Indeed, all monks ate their fill, yet the bowl remained full, with each bite bringing profound joy. Transforming a tyrant and saving the people. Long, long ago, in a distant kingdom, people lived in darkness and ignorance. The ruler of this land was a cruel and unenlightened king who cared only for power and wealth, showing no concern for the suffering of his people. The citizens lived in extreme hardship, yearning for a wise sage to come and rescue them. Upon learning of this kingdom's plight, Manjushri Bodhisattva decided to help. It is said that he took on the appearance of an ordinary monk and arrived at the capital city. The streets of the capital were bustling with people, yet their faces were filled with helplessness. As Manjushri walked along, he noticed a child weeping by the roadside. He approached and gently asked the child why he was crying. The child tearfully explained that his parents had been taken away by the king's soldiers, because they could not afford to pay taxes. Moved by compassion, Manjushri decided to begin by helping this child. With the child by his side, Manjushri went to the king's palace and requested an audience with the ruler. The palace guards burst into laughter at the sight of an ordinary monk, daring to demand a meeting with the king, thinking him mad. But Manjushri remained unfazed. Using his spiritual powers, he created an invisible force that made the guards feel an overwhelming pressure, leaving them no choice but to allow him inside. Seated upon his grand throne, the king sneered at Manjushri and asked, "You, a mere monk, what business do you have with me?" Manjushri calmly replied, "Your Majesty, I have heard that the people of your kingdom suffer greatly. I have come to offer you a way to resolve their hardships." The king laughed loudly. "What solutions could a mere monk offer? I have vast armies and immense wealth. I need no advice from the likes of you." Manjushri smiled and said, "Your Majesty, while you may possess power and riches, you lack wisdom. Your people are in anguish, and their resentment toward you is growing. If you continue to rule this way, you will one day lose your throne." The king, enraged, ordered his soldiers to throw Manjushri out of the palace. Yet, Manjushri did not leave. Instead, he began preaching outside the palace gates. His voice, like the celestial melodies of heaven, drew in more and more people who eagerly listened. He spoke in simple yet profound words, teaching the principles of life and the value of wisdom. As the people listened, their hearts and minds became enlightened, and for the first time, they saw a glimmer of hope. Hearing of the growing crowd, the king became even angrier and dispatched more soldiers to disperse them. But Manjushri used his spiritual power to prevent the soldiers from approaching. Left with no choice, the king decided to confront the monk himself. When he arrived, he saw the expressions of reverence and devotion on the faces of the gathered people, and doubt began to stir in his heart. He turned to Manjushri and asked, "Who exactly are you? How do you possess such abilities?" Manjushri replied, "Your Majesty, I am merely a wandering monk who wishes to help you and your people. If you are willing, I can teach you how to be a wise and just ruler." The king hesitated, but ultimately agreed to listen. Thus, Manjushri began teaching the king how to govern with wisdom, care for his people, and lead with virtue. He explained that wisdom is the greatest treasure. Only with wisdom can a ruler truly govern a nation. Under Manjushri's guidance, the king gradually transformed. He reduced taxes, built schools and hospitals, and began sincerely caring for the well-being of his people. In turn, the people's attitude toward the king shifted from resentment to admiration and respect. Over time, the kingdom flourished, and the lives of its people improved immensely. They were deeply grateful for Manjushri's guidance and assistance. Seeing that his mission had been fulfilled, Manjushri decided it was time to leave and continue his journey to help others in need. His legendary deeds spread far and wide, becoming an eternal tale of wisdom and compassion. Manjushri's wisdom is encapsulated in the verse, "Mother of awakening, boundless in wisdom, responding to all beings with skillful means." With a sword of insight, cutting through delusion, Manjushri's teachings shine across all realms. His profound connection with wisdom and enlightenment continues to inspire countless practitioners in their pursuit of ultimate truth. There are countless legendary stories about Manjushri Bodhisattva, and his tales have been passed down through generations, becoming an eternal legend. He holds a precious sword, symbolizing the cutting away of ignorance and afflictions. He rides upon a lion, representing majesty and strength. Whenever people face difficulties and confusion, they think of Manjushri Bodhisattva. hoping to receive his guidance. Thank you for listening. If you found this teaching helpful, please like, subscribe, and share so others can benefit from the Dharma. Feel free to share your reflections in the comments below. May all beings possess Manjushri Bodhisattva's wisdom and realize liberation.